Hello everyone, welcome to my segment on Craft Around the Clock and on my Tinker's Cut art page. So how is everybody on this Monday afternoon? Please come on, say hello. I've been having a little internet issue this morning, so I'm hoping that everything's going to go smoothly. So please, if you come on, let me know you're there so I can see that I'm actually out there. I will put you up on my computer as well, and we can see hopefully that people are joining in. So here we are on Monday. We're going to paint a fun fall scene. I know it's time. It feels like summer still to me. It's hard for me to imagine that we're going to be painting the Halloween and the fall and all those things. Lucille, oh good. I'm glad to see you watching because my internet has been out and on and off again this last hour. I was on a meeting and kept getting kicked off. So hopefully it will give us the 45 minutes that we need. So welcome. Let me know where you're watching from. Say hello. I'm going to try to watch the comments as we go along. Answer any questions that you might have. And if I don't see your comment or questions, know that I'm going to go back and look at everything afterwards, as well as posting the recording. So you can watch what we're doing. We're having fun, but you don't have to study every little brush stroke because you will have the recording. So, oh, hey, Gail, nice to see you. Oh, I'm so glad to see you guys because I tell you, I was a little nervous. I was up until this minute trying to get the internet to work. So I'm a little haphazard here, but I did get my colors out. I just have hi, Jerry from Texas. I have a selection of fall colors. I just put out various yellows and oranges that I had. Anything you like for fall colors. This is a little painting that I've done many times in my paint nights. And it's a fun, quick little painting. So if you guys are looking for something fun and quick to paint, something that you can teach at a class or something too, this might be just up your alley. So anyway, Cindy, thank you. Oh, Charlotte, hey, you guys are all showing up for me. Thank you so much. I have done a light sketch on just a little canvas pad here. It is 8 by 10, maybe 11 by 14. It's just a little pad. Let me tell you what size this is, but you can do it any size you want. 9 by 12. So I got a 9 by 12 pad of canvas paper that I'm going to paint on. Today, I'm going to paint a fall tree with a little tire swing hanging from it. I've just done a little sketch with pencil, you can see. And what I did, when I'm doing circles sometimes, I just sketched a little tree, but I used the bottom of my paint, actually, I use my golden because it's bigger, but I get the right size, something circular. If it's a big moon or something, sometimes you can do a plate. And then I just use like whatever I have on my craft table here that is circular that I can trace. I'm going to put a yellow sky on this. We've painted so many blue skies that I thought, let's do something a little different. So I'm going to just use a big, I'm using my big synthetic brush now. It's just like a 1-inch brush. A lot of times you'll see me using my hog bristle brushes. Use whatever you have. I'm going to just dip into a couple of my yellows here. I did a very light sketch, like I said, of my tree. But I don't need to do too much because I'm going to paint branches and leaves and all that on top. So I'm going to pull you up here too so that I can see that you can see what I'm working on. If I have to position the painting a little differently for you, let me know. I've got all of the comments streaming on my phone, so it's hard to see sometimes. The yellow paint is light enough so I can really see my tracing right through. I'm taking I've got a couple of shades. I love that saffron yellow. It's kind of an orangey yellow, and this is like a cad yellow. Just kind of bopping between both. The tree is going to take up a lot of the space here, but we still need to paint the background. I like to start with the very background too. I just start with what's in the farthest away, the sky probably, work forward. I am using some of these bright yellows, but I want to mix some white in there. So I want some variations. I don't want to like it screaming yellow, but I do want to get it a little darker, more orangey yellow towards the horizon line, which actually it's just going to be a sloped line here. And that is going to give us a little sloped hill our tree will sit on. We'll have leaves. Some of the leaves could be blowing across. And we're going to put on that tire swing. Hi, Len. Oh, you're right in Mass. I just moved from Mass to Maine for the summers, Florida for the winters. So here I am in Maine today, but you are just not too far at all. Do you ever get up to the coast of Maine? It's one of my favorite spots, actually. So much inspiration, so many things to paint up here. The ocean, the lighthouses. We have lakes. We have all sorts of cool things up here on the coast. Hey, Cheryl, thank you for watching. And let's let's see, there I am. Okay, I just wanted to see myself to make sure I'm there and that you can see what I'm doing. I'm just taking brush loads of the different yellows and the white. I like to just mix on the palette or on the canvas. I don't really want to sit and mix up a little pile of a perfect color. I want it to be light, dark, really natural looking. I love to see brush strokes. I paint a little bit more colorful than some people. Sometimes I pump up colors that aren't there or put colors like, I've painted this usually with a blue sky, but we're going to do yellow because I don't know. I did something recently with the yellow sky. I really liked it. And I'm just bopping right over my tree there. I'm going to get a smaller brush to do the around the tire swing. But because the yellow's, you know, yellow's always transparent, I can see my sketch right through my painting, which is cool. So I got off to kind of a crazy start, but here we are. We will be painting until 3:15. If you see me on my Tinker's Cart art page, know that I am also streaming over on Craft Around the Clock, which is a fabulous site if you love to watch crafters and creators every weekday, early morning to evening. You will find someone every 45 minutes live crafting. So do check it out. There's a link in my description there. If you are a Craft Around the Clock person, welcome to my Tinker's Cart art page too. And I hope that you will take a look around. You'll find me in all the social media places. I have a lot of videos over on YouTube that you can look at. I do a lot of in-person classes as well as online. I have an art membership. I just love to paint, and if you think you might want to paint, try it. Don't say you can't draw. You don't need to. Don't say I've never done it before. I will show you step by step. So a pretty yellow background. I know it looks like a sunset. Oh, I have to do the middle of my tire. And it could be sunset time. I just thought it would be nice with those oranges and those brilliant colors for the leaves and the dark tree and the tire swing on top of a light background. I'll just scoot out a different brush here to just get my background between inside the tire swing. So I sketched this on, but if I were doing this for a class, fear not, because I would sketch, I would give you the tracer so that you wouldn't have to sketch on unless you wanted to, because you can. But I do provide tracers for all of my designs, and that way if you want to just jump right in and paint, you can simply transfer your tracing to your canvas. It's a very simple process. I have a YouTube video. If you go over there and just search in the search bar for the tracing, how to trace the design, how to transfer the design, you will find that video. Cool. So thank you guys. Oh, you're all popping in. Thank you all so much. Okay, I might as well get my foreground in now. I am just going to have some, it's going to be like leaves that have fallen. I'm going to put a little green in there too, so it's maybe early fall. And I'm just going to grab one of my hog bristle brushes, because like I said, I like those for when I'm doing canvases or something that with a rough texture. It just gives me the ability to dig into the canvas a little bit. So these are long handled. They're filberts, which is that curved tip, which I like for a lot of things. And you'll find these brushes if you would like to add some to your collection in kind of the fine art section of the art in the craft stores. So I do want to get a little bit of green under my fall colored leaves. I'm going with a little bit of a darker green. I will tell you the colors I use, but I'm not particular about that. I want you to use what you have to get started. And if you have any questions, just let me know. I like to just see people jump in and try painting and not worry about, well, I don't have exactly what you use. Because you know what? It doesn't have to be what I use. And it's not going to look like my painting or your neighbor's painting or anyone else. And that's what we want. We don't want to try to copy just what I'm doing. I want you to get the techniques down and then find your own way, and you are going to discover some really cool techniques. So I just went into some dark greens. I had a dark green here. I have a phthalo green. It's kind of a blue green. And I just mix with some darks and lights on my palette just to get a variety of tones, like shades of green. And sometimes I could go right into an orange. Sometimes to dull down my color, I will use the opposite. So if I have a green that's a little too brilliant and bright, I'll take a tiny scooch of red, the opposite of it on the color wheel, and you get a nice dull green, which sometimes the dull paints, even though I'm a bright painter, I use a lot of dull colors so that I can pop other colors out. So if you ever want to tone down something just a little too brilliant, you want to go to a little duller, take a little dab of the opposite. If you're using yellow or purple, they're the opposites. So I've got a little base of green there. I'm going to let it dry and I'm going to sketch in my tree. Tree is going to just be a little trunk with some branches. And I'm going to use, I have some burnt sienna, which is that red brown. If I mix it with a little black, I'll get more of a burnt umber. I want kind of a dark brown to start. And I think I'll go just with a flat brush. It's a synthetic brush. They're not terribly expensive, and if you take care of them, they'll last you a long time. What I love about these brushes, I can get a nice wide stroke, but I can get a really thin stroke with the chisel edge, which you'll see when I do the trunk wide, and branches I will do with a little bit of a chisel edge. And I'll also maybe use my liner brush for some little fine branches. I'm going to put them in almost like as a little skeleton of the tree. You're not going to see them all after, but I'm going to put the trunk in, give yourself some branches. That gives you a place to put the leaves. So a little black, a little burnt sienna. I'm going to try to see, make sure you can see. I like it if you can see my palette a little bit. I know we don't have, when we're vertical format, I don't have all the room, but I do like you to see my palette sometimes. It helps to see what I'm grabbing. A little burnt sienna, a little bit of black, and can you see I get a nice dark brown there? And I'm going to have my tree right about here, my trunk right about there. I have my tree trunk a little wider at the bottom and I get a little thinner, so I'm using the brush right on the flat edge. And I'm just getting a little tree trunk there. It already looks a little shaded without me even trying. Hey Mary, thank you for popping in. It's good to see you. I'm going to get I'm mixing on the brush, so if I add a little black to my brown, it's going to be a little bit different shade still. But see how I get a nice flat stroke? But as I turn, I can turn that brush and get right up into a thin stroke. I am watering my paint down a tiny bit. When I'm doing little branches or little details, I do add water as I go. I want it more like a consistency of ink rather than heavy paint. And this way, I don't think I can do my branches upside down. I want to visually see them. And so I just press a little bit for the branch. I'm twisting my brush to be on the chisel edge. I usually press a little bit, get a little lighter pressure, and then kind of work up and out just to start. Like I said, just to get, it sounded really Boston-y there, start, right? I just was trying to catch myself, but so I get some of the thick branches in now, and I'm going to go to a liner brush to get some more. And without thinking, I did do a branch here, which I need to hold my tire swing. And there goes my little, can you see those two? 11 pounds and 150 pounds. And I usually shut the shade so they don't bark at anybody walking by when we're on, but there they are. Like I said, I went on kind of quick today because of all the internet stuff. I'm using a liner brush now, which is a wonderful brush. It's got a long tip, and it holds a lot of paint, especially if it's thinned down. I could do a lot of little brush strokes now without having to reload. So I just press a little bit, and same thing. I'm just going to go, like I said, I'm not going to see all of these branches later, but it's going to give me a little skeleton sort of to put on my leaves. And I'm going to do some nice fall colors for the leaves. And we could even pretend it's a windy day and a little bit of the leaves are kind of falling and floating over. So let's just get the little framework for that tree. I'm not going to worry about shading and highlighting the branches. Those are fine. The trunk, I do want to give a little shading or some highlighting. I want it to be dark on one side, so let me just get some of that brown in the middle. Because of the texture of the canvas, I can see a lot of the yellow through there because the brush didn't get into those nooks and crannies. So I'm just using a little more pressure with my brush now, getting that brown in there. But on that left side, I really want to get it a little darker. So we're going to say that there's a shadow. The sun is coming from this direction, so it's a shadow on that back side. And that means the sun is hitting it here. The front right edge will have a little bit of a highlight. I think because I'm using all these fall colors, I'm going to just put a little highlight of like an orange on there. Let's see how that works. I'm not sure. Sometimes, honestly, I didn't even know I was painting like 10 minutes before I came on. I always sort of decide on the fly. And sometimes I don't know how things are going to work, but we put it on and then we see it and just. So I don't even mind that. I kind of like that little orange. I'm going to lighten it up even more. And sometimes if I take that light color and streak it up and down, it could almost look like a little bit of the, you know, how the bark has those little indents and grooves. It's not showing up because it's a little too close in color, so I'm going to add a little white to that orange. And to be honest, lots of times when I shade and highlight my trees, I will use a light blue or a light purple. But I'm sticking with this color palette of these fall colors, so I think I'll just go now. And it really works out nice. So I've tried my orange on the right side. It's nice for the highlight. But for the little lines on the bark, it's not showing up. So I've mixed up just the orange with some white. And if I go with the brush on the chisel edge, stroking it up and down, doesn't that start to look like bark without even hardly trying, right? It's so fun to paint acrylics if you can work a little quick, wet and wet sometimes. You can get some great effects, and it all dries pretty fast. So I might just use that for my tree. The right side I want to get a little bit brighter. I'm going to let that orange dry and just put a little, maybe more yellowy orange, just in places so it looks like the sunshine is just reflecting off of that. And I'm going to pop back and forth because we're going to put leaves down and they're going to be wet, and we want to put another layer. So I'm going to put some leaves down, but then I might go back and forth to the tree and the tire swing so that we can let things dry in between. But you can also use a hair dryer or a heat gun to try if you're a little impatient like I am sometimes, or if we're under a time limit here. Because remember, we do our segments here and they are 45 minutes. So we certainly see lots of things every day, projects being completed that are not long and lengthy. I'm going to go to a smaller brush is what I was going to say there. It was a little wide. I don't want my tire swing to get enormous. So maybe just a little smaller brush. And so I'd like to let people know you don't have to make a big time commitment to create something, whether it's painting or crafting or knitting or whatnot. If you take a few minutes every day, if you can, or every couple days, it really does a lot of good for your well-being, I think. It doesn't matter what comes out, what you end up with, it's the process. If you sit and enjoy painting, you get out of your head a little bit, out of the day-to-day stuff, and that little break is like a little vacation. It really is, because you stop thinking about everything you need to do. Take some time for yourself. You don't want to feel guilty about that. It just makes all the other aspects of your life a little bit easier if you have some time to yourself. Do you guys agree with that? I believe that. I think you need to have a little time. And like I said, it does not matter what you come out with. It's what the process. And if you're having fun with it, I'll tell you what, if you sit down even for 20 minutes a day and you are having fun and you're enjoying it, guess what? You're going to come back and do it again. And then you know what? You're going to do it again, and you do it again. And not only is that making you feel better and embracing your creativity, you're improving. So the more you do it, the better you get. I'm just doing this little tire swing here. I don't know if it's going to be perfectly. It might be a little wonky. And that's what painting is all about. If I wanted it to be photorealistic, then I would take a photograph. So I've got a little tire swing there. I want to not have it just as like a black hole. I like to give it a little bit, make it look a little like a tire. So I think I'll just take some white right now onto my brush, which has already got some black on it. I'm going to get a gray, and I'm going to just go around the inside edge with the gray. Then I'm going to let it dry, and then I'm going to put maybe some little tire treads on there, maybe a little white wall. We'll see what happens. But I just want to keep it from looking like a black Oreo there. So there, we'll let that dry a little bit. Now, to do the little rope, say that it's hanging from, I would use a smaller, little finer detail brush. Cheryl, let's see. Well, you know what? It doesn't matter. You might think you're terrible. We all do. I finish paintings and I think, oh, that's awful. I have to paint it over tomorrow because it's something for class or my group. And more times than not, if you step away, look at it another day, it's amazing you have fresh eyes. And also remember, you're painting this, I'm painting this 8 inches away from my face. No one's going to look at it that close. You have to set this up and get back 4 or 5 feet. Then tell me, that there's something wrong with it. You will see that you got to be just a little bit kinder to yourself. And again, if you just not get frustrated, just embrace what you're doing. I equate it like to people with all sorts of hobbies or whatnot, or you're cooking, jigsaw puzzles. So once you're done, you're done. You don't even have that. The jigsaw puzzle you finish up and you're done, and you take it apart and you cook an amazing meal and it's gone. You know how quick. But if you enjoy the process, you like creating and you like just getting out of yourself, it's not really about the finished painting. It's really about the experience. I'm just making a gray line, but like it's a little rope holding the tree. I'm wrapping it around the little tire. I'm just doing it with white and gray. Now, I think I can get a little, since I have the detail brush. Dee, you are correct, and you know, because you listen to me a lot. You need how I go on and on about trying to make it about the experience and to enjoying it. Because look at art. Sit someday, Google all kinds of artwork. Go to the Modern Museum of Art. Go to somewhere. Look around. You can't tell me that you love everything. It doesn't mean that's wrong and it's not good. It's just not the same as what you like. I think you could just... There's lots of things that you consider good or bad art, but I don't. I just go if I had fun painting it, or if I look at a painting and someone, I could tell if they had fun painting. It's a joyful painting. It's a joyful brushstrokes. But if you're struggling and painting it over a bunch, step away and give yourself a little break, a little breathing room. And I do like to paint a little bit more abstract sometimes, loose. I know a lot of us, myself back in the day, the best compliment I could have gotten was, "Oh my God, I love your painting. It looks like a photograph." Well, I'm so glad I got over that, because if we want a photograph, we'll just take one. And paintings that don't have to look like photographs. I want it to look like a painting. I want to have colors that might not be there. I want to have big brush strokes. I want to just have fun. And so let's not worry about making it look just like the real thing. Hi, Deb from Florida. How are you? Good to see you on. Thank you. I'm glad I'm on because I had some internet stuff going on in a meeting I was just in, and I was off twice. I rebooted my modem because I think it's me, and I'm hoping that we get another, few minutes, get to the end of this with not getting kicked off. So, and if that ever happens, listen, I'm recording, and you will get the recording later. I've done a little white wall. I'm going to just take a small brush, kind of flatten it out a little bit, and I'm going to make some tire tread. So I might just really thin washy paint so that it's not bright. I don't want bright white lines, but I'm going to just zigzag that, and I'm going to keep it as thin as I need to so that it's a little translucent. I don't want... Now, would a real tire look exactly like this? No, it's probably the wrong perspective, but I like the decorative touch of the little zigzags for the tire. Sometimes it's about the design work in it and not just being real. Like I said, I've done this painting in paint nights, but I've never done it with the yellow sky, so I'm a little excited to see how that comes out. And because we're here live, and because I don't usually plan very well, I don't know how things are going to come out. But I think that looks great. I wanted to put a little bit of a brighter right-hand side there, so I'm taking my orange and maybe a little yellow. And sometimes white, because you know what? Yellow and orange is very transparent. I want it to show up. I'll add a little bit of white into that little mix. And I'm going to just hit the right-hand side of this tree a little bit. It's a little bit of a game of, I don't want to have it too yellow because it blends in with the sky, but I want it to have a little bit of a shine there, a brightness. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. I just brightened up that little right-hand side. I know it doesn't look like much, but you can see it. Oh, Mary Jane, yes, you should paint this. It's very simple. It's easy to sketch, like I said. And if you're ever watching me, you guys, and you need a tracer and I don't have one, I will make one. It takes me 2 minutes. I can make it any size you want. Just message me, and then if you don't get it, remind me. But I can certainly do that. This, I simply sketched a little hill, line for a tree, and then I really did just take my bottles of paint and just set them on and trace them. Super easy, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Let's put some leaves on our tree and some leaves down here. Leaves, I always get carried away with. I will start sometimes and I'll start dabbing, and this little tree is going to look like a lollipop because it's a big ball of leaves and a stem, a trunk. So there's a way to fix that. We can just put little sky holes in later, but I am going to try to put little clumps here and there, kind of loose, letting a lot of sky show through before I get too carried away with just keep dabbing. I usually go with the darker colors first and work a little lighter. So let's see, we are going to do, let's do the tree kind of a little bit orangey red into some yellows. I've got a yellow sky though, so what am I going to do? I'm going to start with some oranges and some, like a alizarin crimson, which is that nice dark maroony color. And then we'll work lighter. I do dark to light most times when I paint, so that when I get to that top layer, in acrylics we can do this, not like watercolors where we have to leave all our lights. We can go dark and get lighter, 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 and then, or dull and dark and lighter, lighter, lighter and brighter. And when you do that, you get those few little lights and brights surrounded by some darks. It really pops. So, you know, you see a painting sometime, or even in real life, you see a sky or something, you're like, how can that be so bright? How would I make that look like that? I can't get a paint color like that. It's a matter of the surrounding areas is dulling them down or darkening them, and then put that little bit of light. It's a lot of looking at values and things, which is the lightness or darkness. It's a good place to start when you have a scene in front of you and you don't know where to start. Start with your values. Many times I would do a little value study before I do a painting, especially when I'm out plein air painting. It gives me a bit of a roadmap. It tells me where my darks and lights are. And it really helps if you want to start designing your own paintings or even on your photographs. If you have a photograph you want to paint, you could take it and remove the color and make it a black and white, and there's your values. I use a piece of red acetate when I'm out in the field painting, and I put that in front of my eyes, and I can see just the values, not the colors. It makes for a nice little roadmap. Little painting like this, that's just fun. I probably wouldn't do it with, but anything a little bit more complicated, I would in fact make a value study first. So let's get some of our darks on there. And I'm going to take that dark alizarin crimson first. It's really a nice fall color to use. It's a little bright as I'm putting it on here, I'm noticing, because of a yellow background. So I dull it down. I actually could take a little green if I'm going to use my, the little theory I told you before. If I take a little of my green into that alizarin, I've got a color that's going to be a little darker and where I want it. So here's where I have to start thinking, because I would just go and dab and dab and dab. So let's think that, okay, there's a branch here, it's holding some leaves. I'm just going to dab it. I'm leaving sky showing through. I'll skip over here and do a little of the same. I'm going to almost think about little clumps of leaves right over the trunk a little bit. Whatever brush you want, I'm just using this little filbert brush, but I am just sort of like on the side dabbing it. Use your brush and see what it does. I'm kind of twisting it, and I could just see what kind of little strokes I get. This is more like mark making, really. You're doing all these little strokes, which could almost be a little bit of a pattern also. It doesn't have to always be, like I say, a tree. I'm going to just look at this. I look at my reference, but I look at the piece without copying the reference all the time, because if I like the way it's looking, I just go with it. See all the dark light I'm letting shine through? We can even go and put some out here, even if there's no branch. I'm not trying to put every leaf attached to a branch. I'm not worrying about that now. I'm looking at the shape of the tree. And we might want some that are sort of just kind of floating off and falling a little bit. You know, just how the fall leaves. You can almost feel the fall, the coolness of the weather and whatnot. So we've got some of the dark to start. Now I'm going to just build this up with a little lighter each time. So I may just take some red this time, just a regular, just a primary red. And if I find I'm not seeing it, I might want to let this dry a little bit. I think I will actually, let me go back. I need some of those leaves down here too, sorry. So we need to put some of the colors that we're going to use in the tree down here. We'll have some of that green peeking through, like I said. Now, I could have taken black, which I almost grabbed, into this alizarin crimson to get the dark, but I would like to use the green because it just gives me more color. Black seems to dull things a little bit too much for me, and I'm a little bit, like I said, a more colorful painter. So I am trying to, like I almost did it again, I'm going to mix a beautiful shade with the green, more so than a dark, just a dark, dull shade. And you can see, you can use a bigger brush than this if you wanted to. it's a little, this part's a little jigsaw puzzle-ish. When I paint some of these things, I am just dabbing, and I'm going to build it up. So I'm not sitting here painting little leaf shapes. I'm just dabbing it. It's going to read as leaves. Now I'll go into my red. I want to get a little bit more red, and that gave this a minute to sort of set up a little bit. And I'm going to pop some red on there, and I'm going to get a little lighter red. I have a little bit of a lighter red. I think I might like a little better than that colder red that I was using. This is a little warmer. It's a little bit more on the orange side. Let's see how much that shows up a little better. You might find you have particular brushes that you really like to make leaves with. And you don't need a lot of brushes. I know I've shown you a few different ones today, but again, my idea is to get you started painting, not waiting to get all the right things and the right setup. If you look on my website, Tinker's Cart Art, I do have some blogs on there about getting started. I try to address issues that my painters and my members in my membership, issues they have getting started, where to paint, how to find a little place, what do we need, what are the supplies that we, just the basics that we need to start. I try to address all that in my blog, which you can find some of those blog posts on my website. Oh, Denise, thank you so much. That is much appreciated. We love to let people know we're here and what we're all doing. I love to have new people jumping on board. Like I said, I have the art membership, so if you really want to jump into painting a little more, I do have a couple memberships. One is just a painting of a month recorded, mailed to you. The other one is painting with me live twice a month. 2 recorded paintings, a lot of individual attention, a fabulous community, so very affordable. So if it's something you ever are interested in, you can usually get information just by send me a message or look me up or whatnot. So okay, so now we've got a little bit of a start. Let's put some more of these red leaves down here. And like I said, I could be going a little faster with a bigger brush. I'm just going to get a little bit in there. How are we doing on time? We have 13 minutes left. Doesn't sound like a lot, but we will get it done. I always wonder sometimes. It's like a little challenge. Will it get done? It will get done. Maybe not finessed perfectly, but you're going to get the gist of it. And I will finish it up afterwards and then post pictures and the video and answer any questions. Like I say, I know I've been kind of oh, hey Deborah, hello. Nice to see you ladies here. Thank you. We have a great group of creatives here in Craft Around the Clock, and they're so supportive. We come out and try to support each one. We have an amazing group here. I have to say, I'm not the craftiest, well, I am. I'm pretty crafty, but the ladies in the group are creating things that I am just learning new techniques and things every day. I'm more of a painter, but I love to create things, so I love the ideas I get from everyone. Everybody is so generous with their sharing of their techniques and their knowledge, and it's just a great place. You will love it. Come and hang out with us sometimes. Doesn't mean you have to sit and watch. Just put us on and listen. I do that in the car. I don't craft while I'm driving, but I do have that Craft Around the Clock on just to hear everyone and feel like I'm part of the group. And there we are. So we're not done yet, but we've got some leaves started. And I want to get into my yellows and oranges now. I'll go right into orange. And like I said, I will hit it with the hairdryer if I have to. I'm not going to maybe because I hate listening to that noise that you guys will have to listen to. But feel free. I would probably dry this a little more in if I was painting here by myself without you guys having to listen to that. I'm going to try to get a little bit lighter on one side. We'll see if that works. I want to get more yellow on one side, more red or orange on the other, just because. I don't know why. And here you can almost do it mindlessly, not even looking, just kind of dabbing on. Some of this orange is mixing with some of the darks. It's kind of a dark dull orange, but that just makes it all the better when you want to come back when it's dry and pop on some brights. It's kind of mesmerizing. It's kind of fun. It's kind of like the mandala or the dots, you know, the that kind of art you do on rocks and different things. It's almost Zen-like, Zentangle-like, that sort of just a kind of a little repetitive brush stroke. I think I'll do some of these strokes as well in my greens too, just to make it look like it's not just an underpainting there. I could go ahead in with some greens and just dab it a little bit so that it has that same texture here and there. Doesn't need it everywhere. I want to get some different shades of greens. Greens are fun. There are so many shades. And that gets a little overwhelming sometimes, but all I do is I take my palette and I just take different shades of what's ever on here, and I just get some wonderful different shades of green. These are a little bit brighter, more like an apple green, but isn't it great for the texture? I don't even mind if it mixes with some of the other colors. Sometimes I like to go for like a more of a blue green. Look at that, beautiful. Oh, that pops in there, that's nice. Can even do some green up on the tree here and there if you wanted. And every time I just add a little something to the mix, it's a little different shade. So I know it's intimidating and you think you have to buy, 16 bottles of green paint, but you don't. You could just take your primaries. You could just take your blue and yellow and make a green and then add anything else to it. Different shades, like this gold here, this like a yellow ochre color with a little black, say, you get a nice earthy earth green there. Very dull. I want to brighten it up a little, but see, that's like an army green almost. Put a little of that here and there. And I have fun doing that, mixing right on the palette, just kind of seeing what I get by mixing whatever's on there. It's going to come out to be some sort of green. And you can get as bright as you want. I've got this apple green, which I really like, which is easy to make. I happen to have it in the bottle, but again, don't think you have to have all the colors. You can do quite a bit with mixing. And glazing too. I can show you if we have a minute how to take just a bright yellow and just put it over. It's very translucent, but it gives you a nice glaze. Let's do a few light greens up here. And like I said, this is not a perfectly realistic scene. It's more of like a little bit of an abstract, more of a design. And I've got a little bit of orange on my sky there. If you make a mistake when you're painting, you could take a little clean water on your brush and wipe it off. This is already dried, I think, but it's coming off. Or paint over it, or a little bit of alcohol. Rubbing alcohol is great for removing paint too. So there we are. I want to get a little bit brighter on there. It's a little wet, but let's see if we can't get it a little brighter. Anyways, let me get a couple of shades. I wanted the same little brush for I like that little brush for my leaves. So I'm going to go over here and get a little more, let me try a little of the red mixed with some yellow and see if I get a nice bright, a little bit different shade of the red there. So that's just using our primaries, really. A little red, a little yellow. I'm gonna get some shades of orange. Again, I put a lot of shades up because I was kind of in a hurry to get started, but I do like to show you always when I'm painting how to mix all of the colors from your primaries, because it can be done. I think I might have to hit this with the hairdryer. Let's see. I might, just so I can get a few brights. Yellow in the orange is famous for being transparent. So sometimes what I might do over here is put some blobs of white, and then when I hit it with the bright yellow, it'll stay bright. But let's get some orangey bits in here, a little brighter, lighter orangey bits. Some of them kind of just floating down. I guess it's back to school time, right? Tonight in my membership, we're getting together and we're painting the school bus painting. You saw me do a quick version of it on Craft Around the Clock last week, but then a more thorough version we will do in tonight's live class. So I'm just kind of sad I love the fall, but I'm kind of sad to see summer things going on in the stores and all getting fall in there. I'm going to hit this with the hairdryer. So I apologize about the noise. Let me just plug it in and just give it a quick little zap so that we can put some nice brights. I like to have you see the bright colors that will come on here afterwards. I know that there's a heat gun that doesn't really make any noise, which I have to look into getting, because that might be kind of cool. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you. Let me just give this a quick... all right. It's not completely dry, but it's better. So what I do sometimes, especially on a dark background, you want to really get a nice bright on there. Like I said, we'll just do a little bit, maybe some white, or mix white in with our paint. Let's get a yellow here. I've got so many out here. A little white with it, and let's see if that will brighten up for us. I just want to get some brights on top there. Again, I never know exactly how it's going to look till I try it, and then I sort of adjust it on the fly. Needed a little more yellow. And I like the way that looks. And that is a little trick too. If I was made my tree too heavy, just take the color for the background, pop it in, and make those little sky holes. If I had a blue sky, I would just go in with some blue. This little bit of yellow I'm putting on sort of is doing the same thing. It's really lightening up. So I want to just get a few yellow over here, but mostly the oranges. There's going to be more yellow on this side. I might even use a little bit of the gold that I have over here, because I just want a few more shades of yellow. And if I feel like I've gotten too much there, like I said, I would just mix up a sky color. I think it's fine, but just to show you, I'd mix up the sky color, and if it was just too heavy, say you had just too many leaves in one space, go right in with the sky color, and it sort of makes it look a little bit lighter and airier. Let's get some of these nice colors on the ground down here too. Again, I'm getting it to show up because I'm putting a little white. Any color that's a little translucent, add a little white to it, and it will be a little more opaque. And I might not want to have it everywhere, but say I want a little bit more bright, like yellow in this spot. Again, I'm thinking of this almost now as a pattern. I'm looking at the design element of it, not really like what this is a real tree would it really look. I just kind of space out the little bits of yellow here and there where it needs a little oomph. No right or wrong. Put it on, step back, take a break from it, and later on is when you might notice something that needs to be adjusted. But don't do anything right off the bat. Kind of leave it and live with it for a little bit. Let's see if we can get some brighter oranges too on there, because you know we have a whole 3 minutes left. It goes by so fast, doesn't it? 45 minutes just fly by. It is really fun though, and I'm glad that I did not lose my connection to you guys. That is fabulous news. And like I said, look for me on the socials. I have some free videos over on YouTube, and any information about my membership I can give you, just put it in the comments or send me a message. I'm happy to share that information. It's very low fee per month, and you can stop and start anytime. It's no obligations. You could jump in and try it out for a little while. And sometimes if you follow me, you can come and just join us for a one-night class and see how you like it. So what do you guys think? I think this is where I want it to be. Now, I might sometimes want just like the way it looks a little bit. Like if I just did a few little leaves kind of just like they're falling, you know. You can do that if you like. And I don't think you need much more. You can do this different ways. So I always like to, when I do my paintings, I like to tell people, how could you change that up? Well, you could put some pumpkins. Let's leave it this way. I know it's hard to watch upside down. You could put a few pumpkins here at the base of the tree. You want to make it even more fall-like or Halloween, put a few jack-o'-lanterns down here. Same picture. You could use just different colors for your leaves. You could do this as a springtime picture with just lots of greens. You could put a little child or someone in the swing if you wanted to. It's really fun, and what I love to do is when I paint something, I love to give you more ideas of what can you do to change it up. Here's a technique. You know how to do skies and clouds. Now you can do them in a different painting. Sometimes in the membership, we once a month have a meeting live that where we just practice things or learn a technique, how to paint clouds, how to paint transparent objects, how to paint whatever it is. Sometimes we all just turn up with just whatever we're working on, and I can help you with that sort of thing. All 4 seasons. Mary Jane, wouldn't that be cool, like on 4 square canvases, like 12 by 12, 10 by 10, and hang them together? I've always wanted to do like the 4 seasons of one particular element. I painted just I don't think I can reach it. I just painted a little pony for, I have a picture of it on my, iPad. So this is going to be in our membership for next month, and it's a little pony. Now, my first idea for this was putting a Christmas hat on him and making it a winter scene. But I liked him with the daisies, and it's kind of not real fallish, not real summerish. It's nice still, but I think you could paint him with a little snow around him, super easy. Spatter snow on with your toothbrush, and then put a little Santa hat. Wouldn't he be cute? Okay, I'm at my time limit. Thank you guys for sticking with me and painting with me again. I will see you next week. I hope you all have a great week. Bye. Stay tuned for the next presenter. It is Crafty Servings coming up. Refresh your page if you don't see her. Okay, bye.